Councilman Melanson, Councilman Robert, Councilman Orgeron, and who else? Michael Mason. And Travis is not here, but he texted me he is on his way. So we do have a quorum. We can continue with the business at hand. Item 3, chair's additions. I have none tonight. Item 4, public comment period. If you have an agenda item, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Aaron. I'm sorry. I forgot you were asked to be recognized.
That's okay. I hit this thing. I thought it was on, and it wasn't my fault. Got to get fatter fingers. No, I'd like to ask the full committee to add an item. It would be an amendment to the SSA contract for 1 year, the same amount as last year, for $120,000. The reason is, during our last council meeting, we heard a lot of good stuff about positions that they were identifying and setting forth salaries. And there's a lot more work they have to do for us. However, the contract ended in August. So technically they have no more money left on that contract, and there's no more time left on that contract, so they can't do any of the work that we're all excited about. So what I'd like to do is add that to this agenda, and then we can discuss and see if we need to move it to the full council.
All right. Is that something we should head, you think, ahead of A? Make it A1 or?
That's fine.
Let's get that and get it out of the way. I don't think there'll be any arguments on getting. And once it gets to the full council, we can have additional questions about it.
I think we need a vote on that, don't we?
Yeah. I need to get a motion to add an agenda item for SSA consultants to renew their contract. I need a motion. Motion by Coach, second by. All right, we need a unanimous vote. Any objection? Any further discussion? There being none, we're adding that to the agenda. It'll be item 1A at the very top. Okay. As I was saying, the public comment period, if you have an item you want to speak about that's on the agenda, fill out a red or green card and get it to the secretary, Ashley Barnes, and she'll get it up to me, and we'll call you up to have your 3 minutes. Under general business, item 5, we're going to go with 5.1A, and the item is SSA, renewal of SSA's contract, and I'll let Councilman Lawler take over.
Yeah, kind of as I said before, is this, we heard a lot of things last Thursday about items that they're doing for us. When I talked to Christelle from SSA, she had mentioned to me that they no longer have a contract with the parish. It ended in August, and there's no more money left on that contract, so they can't do any of the things that we were all excited about last week. So to try and remedy that situation, I said I would add it to this item, to this agenda tonight, and try and move it to the full council. And at that time, we can still discuss and see if there are other things that have to be added to it, because I know they were doing work with us on mental health with Our Lady of the Lake. So I just want to make sure that we don't need to add that, but that can always be added later. So this, for the time being, is just the contract for SSA to continue the work that they're already doing for us.
And the amount we agreed on is 120?
It'd be same as last year, 120,000. So one thing that's not affected by inflation.
Okay, so I've got a motion.
So I'll make the motion for that.
Motion, Councilman Lawler, to extend the contract with SSA in the amount of $120,000.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Cazzo. Any discussion? Any objection? That motion carries. Item A, Ascension Economic Development Quarterly Briefing. Kate MacArthur. Welcome, Kate. Good to have you back.
All right, good evening. This is our regular third quarter briefing. Just a reminder that our mission is to maximize economic opportunity in Ascension Parish, and we do that primarily through business attraction, business retention and expansion, and then developing the infrastructure we need in order to do those two things. So far this year, we have had 50 requests for information come in to our office, so that's the majority of how we recruit new business. And 14 of those came directly to us, 24 came from our state partner, and then 12 came from our regional partners, consultants, utilities, just other agencies that we work with. based on the 50, 10 of them have made it onto our project chart. So 52% we submitted and did not receive a response back, which would be a request for further information. And then 20% we didn't meet the requirements. So a lot of times we'll get something from the state that specifically lines out a need and we don't have it. So I don't know why they send them to us, but they continue sending them. So they don't really count for us. But this is pretty much in line with our typical amount of leads. So even during COVID, we did not have a decrease in leads. We just had a decrease in how many were converted into projects. So we're doing really well on lead generation for this point this year. And that is a lot more site visits this year than we had last year. So the goal is always, after these requests for information come in, we want them to actually come here and put their feet on the ground and visit some sites. So you can see all the projects that have come and not only have visited, but have visited multiple times. So they have primarily been in manufacturing and have looked at different areas of the parish. So on our project chart, we have 45 active projects with the potential investment of over $21 billion and over 2,800 potentially new jobs. We all know that, C is kind of the suspects that are not anywhere near making a decision. B is the ones that are kind of fluid between A and C. They're hot for a little while, then they may go elsewhere for a little bit. And then A are the projects that we focus on most of our time and the ones likely to make a decision of they're going to locate here or not within the next 12 months. So those 15 A projects represent almost, just over $9 billion and 660 potential new jobs. So of those, there are some interesting ones that we're working on. So we have a manufacturer that would be a new project that would be $4.5 billion and 170 new jobs. We have another manufacturing project that would be $2.8 billion and 200 new jobs. And then we have an existing expansion that would be 121 million with 5 new jobs, and that's in green energy, which is as a new venture for us that we're having a lot of activity in. And then we have a warehouse and distribution project that would bring in around 500 new jobs. And then we're still working 2 projects from last year that we anticipate getting a decision soon. One is 1.4 billion with 125 new jobs, and the other is 139 million with 4 new jobs. So we see the little announced projects there. So we did have Blue Runner Foods announce a new frozen food line earlier this year. And then we had BASF do an expansion on site. It just started under construction. And that's for a $20 million solvents expansion. But we do feel confident that we will have some announcements coming up soon from these notable projects. We've also been busy with business retention and expansion. So we do offer virtual visits because we're still in the pandemic. So we have met face-to-face or virtually with 23 companies. Our goal is 40 by the end of the year. We do keep our visits confidential, but we do ask them what can we help them with doing business in Ascension Parish, and we do ask what their biggest successes are and what the biggest challenge is. And I'd like to point out that the biggest challenge this year was not traffic, because apparently during the pandemic traffic got better. But I imagine it'll probably come back in the near future. But the successes was the increased demand for products that they've been having this year, and that safety program recognition and safety overall has stayed a high priority and has been very successful throughout all of the plants that we visited. The challenges are public perception of industry and raw product availability and supply chain issues. And then in our communication goals, we have done a lot of marketing. We put out our 2020 annual report earlier this year, and we did win an award from the Southern Economic Development Council for that. We also are in the middle of a video series, so we have produced the Ascension Parish Impact of Industry video, which won a gold award at the International Economic Development Council last week. We do have a feature in Site Selection Magazine in July, which is a lot on transitioning from fossil fuels and oil and gas into the renewables industry and how we think that will continue here. And then we are still working on small town business spotlights and 2 more videos. So that's our marketing efforts so far this year. And then just our usual closing slide, which gives you the total jobs investment and wages that have been created since our organization started in 2006. Are there any questions?
Any questions from the committee members? Okay, I think that wraps it up. Thank you so much. Item B, Ascension Economic Development Corporation Renewal of Cooperative Endeavor Agreement for the year 2022 to promote, encourage, and develop industry and commerce in the parish. Total amount of agreement, $322,800. Second. I got a motion from Councilman Cazzo, second by Councilman Lambert. Any discussion? Any objection? That motion carries. And I will comment that they have a staff of 3, and the work they do is literally phenomenal. You know, they got us in the right magazines, they got us on the right, the website is phenomenal, and they just keep attracting tremendous opportunities for Ascension Parish to grow economically. And as you saw on that last slide, for every dollar invested, we're getting over $1,650-something back. So that speaks well for what they're doing. Appreciate the good work. Thank you. Okay, moving along. Item C, Ascension Parish Economic Development to introduce Project Sandpiper Shell Chemical for participation in the ITEP under the Post-Executive Order 2018 rules.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Cazzo, second by Councilman Lawler. Comment?
I'm sorry, rough day today. Gentlemen and ladies from Shell were given the wrong courthouse, so they went to the wrong courthouse.
I was wondering, but we didn't have our cell phones. That's why I was just looking to see.
That's what happened. That's why they're not here.
Well, doesn't Chase work there?
He's Oxy.
That's right, he's Oxy, next door. That's right. Okay, got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any objection? There being none, that motion passes. Item D, Ascension Economic Development to introduce Project Skyfall 1.4 Group, Inc., for participation in the ITEP under the Post-Executive Order 2018 rules. Again, Kate.
Okay, so this is a recruitment project. So they are a new company looking to locate in Ascension. They have not gone to the Board of Commerce and Industry yet. They are going to be on the October 27th agenda. So we are doing all of the initial meetings now, and then we are asking to be on the November 4th agenda for the council instead of this next upcoming meeting. So that way we'll have the C&I board in between the two. This project is a specialty chemical manufacturer and an insect repellent manufacturer looking to invest $39 million and hire 28 new employees with a $2 million annual payroll. They'll generate $1.2 million in direct tax revenue over the 30-year life of the project, and $116,000 of sales tax revenue during construction. And the incentive under the ITEP program would be an $890,000 abatement from the parish portion of the sales tax. We do have John Forsyth and his business partners here to make a very short presentation about the 1-4 group, and I brought the visual from them. So you guys can see what the building would look like here. So I'll turn it over to him to introduce the company so you would understand more about their project and that.
Welcome, Mr. Forsyth.
Yeah, okay. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, thank you for your gracious hospitality in allowing us to come tonight. We have been overwhelmed with the hospitality of Ascension Parish and want to say thank you for the wonderful reception that we've had. A little bit about 1-4 Group. We're based in Meridian, Idaho, just outside of Boise, and we have a product that keeps potatoes fresh during their storage season. And this is used globally to keep the potatoes from sprouting and also from decaying. We have a passion to help feed the world, and we want to do this through the reduction in the shrink or the loss that is incurred in storage. And so we're working in that direction. We've got projects in Europe, in Africa, Middle East, South America, Central America, and throughout North America. Our main office is in Meridian, and then we have a packaging facility in El Salvador where we employ about 100 people. And from El Salvador, the product is distributed throughout the world. The purpose of the plant here is to bring to the U.S. production of this chemical, and it's currently being manufactured in China, and we would like to return the chemical production back to the United States. So that's where we started looking, and we did a large search. And I will say thank you to Kate and Lisa for their professionalism and helping us to make the decision. It was really quite simple. Once we put all the factors together, this is the place that we would really like to be a contributing member of the Ascension Parish. So thank you very much, and I'm more than happy to take questions.
Questions? Councilman Lawler.
As a person of Irish descent, I'm happy with anybody that can do something to prevent the potato famine again. So it's a good deal.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
For us to know the location of your facility?
We are looking, because we haven't finished all the work with the state at LED, we are looking at some land over in Geismar.
Your past safety records in your facilities, any risks in the air pollution, anything like that in that area?
Those are the things that we're very concerned about, and in many ways we call ourselves an environmental chemical company, which seems a bit of an oxymoron. However,
Not
we
in
feel that it
Ascension
is
Parish.
possible to do that, and so that is our passion. As far as our safety record in here in the U.S., we have the highest or the best rating for workers' compensation because of the lack of accidents in our sites. And we have a similar safety record in El Salvador, and we take safety very seriously.
And if, I may have missed it somehow. How many jobs are we looking at here, Kate? Sir?
28, yeah.
28. Okay. Average wages?
I'm trying to think. Yeah. It's around 60 to 70,000, but there's a lot of jobs that are in a higher level in the chemistry side and in the planted operation will be higher.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any other questions, discussions? I'll entertain a motion. Oh, I'm sorry, Coach, go ahead.
What type of jobs are we talking about?
A variety from plant
Quality
manager.
of jobs that
I'm sorry?
the type of jobs that
It will be from administrative jobs, accounting jobs, to operators, plant operators, and then warehouse jobs. Then we will have a chemistry lab that will be operating with the plants. So we'll have a number of chemists in the lab.
in your searching to put your building, was there any consideration of the West Ascension site? Was there any way of trying to put a building of that magnitude on the West Bank?
So, yes, so that was part of the site search initially, and I think it was driven, you were interested in the opportunity zone instead of, initially when we did the very first search, and there was 5 different sites that we went through and then narrowed it down to 2 and then 1, which is the one that they have an option on now.
So in those, I'm just asking, in narrowing down your sites, I would think out of the 5 sites, would it be possible to let me know or let the general public know what out of the 5 would Donaldsonville, sort of the West Ascension, where did it fall? Whether it's first, I know it wasn't first, or second, third, fourth, or fifth.
did the site evaluation, we had it in there because it had better incentives, and we were specifically looking at the Donaldsonville Industrial Park, but open to anywhere on the West Bank. The challenge was when we found out the exact raw materials that they needed for their facility and how they wanted them to be delivered, it was more logistically beneficial to be on the east side. So that's when it ended up shifting to the sites that were on the east side.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Kate. Good job.
Any other questions? Any other discussion? I need a motion to approve. Motion by Dow, second by Aaron. Any discussion? Any objection? That motion carries. Thank you, Kate, Lisa. We appreciate it. Moving along, item E, change order number 3, BRP Construction LLC, animal shelter renovation cost increase due to needing a riser to meet flood elevation for the chlorine and sewer treatment tanks. Additional $1,587.50 for a total contract amount of $317,584.28. Dean, there he is. Welcome.
Yeah, what this is, you know, we had an existing system out there and we're adding another system to it, and not knowing where the actual elevations were. We didn't know until we actually got down there, and the riser we anticipated just wasn't enough. So that's what it was, to get it up to the proper elevation.
Okay, well, fresh in my memory and others, I think, we're repurposing that shelter for other use. Is that correct?
Well, we're redoing it right now for Kara,
Okay.
all right?
But it
Until
can be,
until they can build their other facility. But yeah,
okay,
eventually it's gonna be repurposed.
okay. Is this coming out of the animal control shelter
Yes, sir.
budget, animal control budget? Okay. Motion by Coach, second by Dow. Any discussion? Any objection? That motion carries. Thank you. Item F, change order number 4, BRP Construction LLC, animal shelter renovation. Days to be added due to the part shortages causing production delays for the blowers on the sewer treatment system.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Cazo, second by Dempsey. Any discussions? Any objections? That motion carries. Item G, change order number 5, BRP Construction LLC, animal shelter renovation, cost increase due to purchase and install perforated steel trench covers to replace missing or damaged old grates for an additional cost of $28.41, for a total contract amount of $320,425.28.
Motion.
Motion by Dow, second by Terry. Any discussions? Any objection? That motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dean. All right, item H, amendment number 3, CSRS Inc., Engineering Review Agency Services, to extend the original contract term for an additional 6 months in order to begin the new RFQ process. Jerome Fournier will be handling this for us.
Yes,
Welcome, Jerome.
thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Back in June, we increased the amount of the contract by an amount of $80,000 for 120 days? And the time has expired. We don't need an increase in the amount because, with the moratorium and everything else, we're having a lot less work for CSRS. But we need to extend the time period in order to put out an RFQ. So we are going to go out to bid on this project. Yeah.
Motion by Dempsey, second by Dow.
Yeah.
Any discussion? Any objection? There being none, that motion carries. Thank you very much, Jerome. Appreciate it. Item I, renewal of participation agreement with St. Bernard Parish Sheriff for housing of juveniles at the detention center located in St. Bernard Parish, amount based on the fee schedule. Patrick Goldsmith. Oh, motion by Councilwoman Cazo, second by Coach.
I knew Patrick wanted to come to the podium, but we just couldn't do it.
I figure we got Patrick Podium Goldsmith getting ready to say something here. You want to come to the podium? No, you don't have to. You want to give us a little fill in here? I know we're renewing what we've been doing through the years.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, like you said, it is a renewal of the agreement that we've had. It says that we have 6 beds per month, and it's $200 a day for the beds. And for the last 3 months, all of the beds have been full, so it is something that's needed. If you look at the agreement, it does make you feel pretty good about the facility. They have a youth center in St. Bernard Parish. They have a social service building, cafeteria building, gymnasium, recreation building, educational building. They're trying to do rehabilitation. This isn't just housing. So this is just our agreement. Since they already have a facility, it makes it easier for us just to outsource it to them.
Very good. Any questions? Councilwoman Cazzo.
Yes, I wanted to remind my fellow councilmen that in this situation, they are also required to provide education. So there are teachers on staff. These children, when they are transferred from Ascension Parish to St. Bernard, are not doing without their education. It's one of the reasons that we have determined many times after looking at this that the building of said facility would not be wise because of the cost and all of the things that must be provided to these young people while they are incarcerated. So I would encourage you all to support this, although I know we feel like we could do this for less than $200 a day. It is just not proven to be correct that we can.
Okay. Got a Councilman Lawler.
Yes, and I'm not against this. I just note that the contract begins on April 1st, 2021. August 21st, I was looking at the dates right. August 1st, 2021. I'm just not sure why we're getting it now, if we can make sure that we get these contracts before they end.
I'm not sure, why the date, but really can't, I'm sorry, can't
Okay,
answer.
I know we had this, I think, about a year or two ago, we talked about this, making sure that we don't get into a situation where contracts are lapsing and we're put into a situation where if we don't approve it, we've got nothing. And we've got no time to talk about it or look at alternatives. We had that with another contract just a couple minutes ago. So just be mindful of that in the future. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any objection? That motion carries. Before I go on, I just want to call to mind, Madam Secretary, Councilman Turner has shown up, and apologize to Jean-Paul over there. Jean-Paul is sitting in for us tonight as our legal counsel. Sometimes it's Kenneth, sometimes it's him. Looks like we got him tonight, but thank you for being here. Item J, renewal of master contract for professional services for disaster debris removal and related services with Thompson Consulting Services, LLC, for an additional year per fee schedule. Dustin Montelius, welcome.
Chairman, committee members, thank y'all. So I came to y'all a year ago asking for these services, never expecting to have them to utilize them twice within 1 year. We did all 1 year. This is a simple 2-year renewal, and I'm asking for the committee to allow that.
Motion by Councilwoman Castle, second by Darrell Wagaspack. Any discussion? Any objection?
So again, perfect example, Ms. Terry. The project manager, he's very forceful. It's a very good company to work with. As several issues that I've spoken to many of you about over the weeks has transpired, they've addressed it immediately. And that's one of the biggest things that I think Director Wilkinson and myself are very pleased about with these services. I was not able to get an update before I left to come to this meeting, but in regards to your issue in particular, he was leaving to go look down your street when I left to come to this meeting.
Well, it's not just my street, my whole
that neighborhood.
region.
Yeah, that whole neighborhood, actually,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
We have some good timelines that I think you guys will be very happy. I'm not ready to release it here in the public, but tomorrow we ought to be having some good timelines to be able to release.
So we're almost through with our first round, correct?
Absolutely. Yes,
That's
ma'am.
excellent. I was just seeing last week that Livingston had just begun their pickup. I'm not criticizing Livingston, but I am applauding you all that we have been doing this for, 4 weeks now?
5 weeks.
5 weeks now. So
Yes, ma'am.
we've been way ahead of the game, and we are grateful for that.
Yes, ma'am.
We appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, I got Coach, go ahead.
Yeah. Dustin, the pickup situation for us, the vegetation What about the trees, the black bags that you have, the wood, the iron? Are they picking all of this up at one time, or are we going to decide that we'll pick up like we just did with the vegetation? We're just
Sure.
picking up trees. Then you have the black bags, and then you have the wood, the iron, and all of the other tin and all that other stuff.
Yes, sir,
Are we
so I can touch on that. So what we're on now, item J, so that's exactly what the monitoring company does. So while some of us may agree with it or disagree with it, FEMA regulations and guidelines mandates that none of this debris, gets picked up together. So it has to be separated. So when debris is getting picked up, they're starting with vegetative, and they start on the large roads, then they work their way down to the smaller roads. After vegetative, they start with your construction and demolition debris. They start on the larger roads, they work on the smaller roads. And that process is gonna get done 3 times throughout the entire parish. So we're getting to that point, and if somebody didn't have it out the first time, obviously we will have multiple opportunities for them to get it out again. Also, unfortunately, with the black garbage bag situation, you just can't see what's in those black garbage bags. What we've been telling residents calling a call center, because that has come up a couple times.
Right.
A lot of people don't notice. It may take a little longer than what we like. I'm actually doing it myself with my private trash contractor. I'm just trying to use up a little bit more less trash during the week, and whatever I did put in those black garbage bags, I'm putting it in my regular trash pickup for the following week.
Okay, because we have assumed that they're passing up if you have wood, tin, and debris, which, for say debris, the trees, all that mixed up. I think that the trucks will basically just pass by.
Oh, so Councilman, so I understand what you're saying. So in that particular situation, those types of debris will probably be last, because what they're gonna do is they're gonna go separate them, even though they weren't done properly.
Right.
They were gonna go separate them, but they have to wait till you get to that point where they can get the machinery
Right.
to separate it and then haul it out.
Gotcha.
But they will get to that point.
Y'all doing a good job, I mean.
It's tiring, but I do appreciate that.
You're doing a good job picking up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. Any objection? There being none, that motion carries. Item K, renewal of the master's contract for professional services for emergency debris removal and related services with DRC Emergency Services for an additional year per fee schedule. Dustin, back at you. Motion by Councilman Lambert. Second by Councilman Wagasback. Any discussion? Any objection? There being none, that motion carries. I want to thank y'all. You guys never cease to amaze me, OEP group. Y'all stay on top of everything. Very, very conscientious about what people's needs are, and we do appreciate that.
But we do our best. I can speak for Director Wilkinson and myself. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate y'all.
Thank you. All right, right along. Item L, approval to accept, the next two are pretty easy. Approval to accept the fiscal year 2021 State Homeland Security Grant in the amount of $49,042.50, and to authorize the parish president, Clint Quintmont, to sign and execute all documents pertaining to this application, and our Chief Financial Officer, Patrick Goldsmith, for financial documents. Madam
Good
Hermina.
evening, everyone. Approval to acceptance of the FY 2021 State Homeland Security Grant Program in the amount of $49,042.50, and authorize Parish President Clint Quintmore to sign and execute all documents pertaining to this application on Patrick Goldsmith, CFO, for financial documents.
Motion by Councilman Wagasback, second by Councilman Lambert. I just have a question. Any idea where this is going to be? It'll be used in OSHEP, Homeland Security?
Normally, 25% of that grant is allocated to law enforcement, and the rest is to be decided and discussed at the work group, which consists of the Ascension Sheriff Office, the Gonzales Police Department, all the fire departments, Ascension Parish Government, OEP, for what is needed, such as equipment or training.
Okay, very good. Any other questions? Any objection? There being none, that motion carries. Item M, approval to accept the fiscal year 2021 Emergency Management Performance Grant in the amount of $33,258.37, and to authorize Parish President Clint Quintmont to sign and execute all documents pertaining to this application, and our Chief Financial Officer, Patrick Goldsmith, for financial documents. Is there
Motion to approve.
motion by Councilwoman Cazzo, second by Coach? Any questions, any further discussion? Any objections? There being none, that motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item N, contract report for the month of September. Gentlemen, that was in your packet. We asked you to review those contracts. Sandra Pereira puts that report out, and it's basically for your review and perusal. If you have any questions, feel free to contact her or maybe even Mr. Goldsmith there, and he'll steer you to the right direction. And if it's a legal question, you can ask John Paul. I'm sure he'll answer it for you. Item 6, financial reports. Presentation of the 2021 amended and 2022 budgets. Chief Financial Officer Patrick Podium Goldsmith. Thank you for being here, Patrick. We're looking forward to it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you said, I'm here to present the parish president's 2021 amended budget and the 2022 proposed budget. You have a couple documents in front of you. You've got a summary packet, and then you've actually got the budget book. So you should have both those in front of you. And before we get into that, I just wanted to briefly walk through the process just so everybody understands where we're at, where we're going with this. And all of this is spelled out in the Charter, Article 7, Section 7-01. And where we're at right now is the parish president's submittal of the budget. The Charter requires that 75 days prior to the beginning of the fiscal year, which is January 1, the president must submit the budget. That 75 days is October 18th, so we're a little bit ahead of the schedule based on where we're at. So today is the 11th. And just so you know how much of a process this for our staff, there are many meetings that go into creating this budget. This process started in July with the staff. 40 plus meetings with the department heads, lots of overtime, and I did want to take just a second to give a shout out because we have an outstanding staff, and first Dawn Caballero, who's our assistant treasurer. She heads up this team. She gives the leadership, the guidance. Without that leadership and guidance, this process wouldn't happen. And I've worked with some pretty big budgets in my time over the last several years, and I'm just really impressed, the professionalism, the knowledge. We're very fortunate to have her here in Ascension Parish. Tony Orso, who's sitting directly behind me, she has been heavily involved in the budget, but she is our capital project expert. You're going to notice that we're going to debut a 5-year capital project plan. She was instrumental in getting that done. And then Linda Timmons, over my right shoulder, was, again, heavily involved in the budget process and the meetings, spent more time on the computer typing in amendments than I'm sure she would care to think about. But without all of their efforts, none of this would have happened. So thanks to their efforts, here we are. And so now we are going to await the next step. So we're presenting the budget today, and the next step is council adoption. And the charter requires that 30 days prior to the beginning of the fiscal year, which will land December 1st. So the council meeting that is before that would be the second meeting in November, which is November 18th. So that's what we would anticipate for the adoption of the budget. And obviously, things have to happen between now and that date for the adoption of the budget. One of the things is advertising for public hearing. And I know Dawn is going to get with Cinnamon and get that process started right away so that on that November 18th date, we can actually have the public comment period, the public input on the budget. Also, amendments. The council can make amendments. You'll probably see some from the administration. And as part of that, what we would ask is please give us a call. We would love to sit down with each of you individually. If you want to come in small groups, can't violate open meetings law. But we would love to sit down and go over any questions y'all have, provide any additional analysis. Again, today is just a submission, but we want you to look at it and then think of those things and then come visit with us so we can help you, whether it's something that you're interested in because of your committee assignment or it's just an overall question. We're here. Please call me, call Dawn, and we'll set up those meetings. We can talk on the phone. We can Zoom, come in person, whatever we need to do. We want to make sure that you get the information you need by November 18th to make the decisions you need to make. So with that, I'm going to start on the summary. Just start on page 1. And on page 1, you'll see a budget comparison, and it's got the 21 amended and the 22 budget as is proposed. It starts with the revenue, and it's got the operating budget revenue, the capital budget revenue, and then the required fund balance. And you'll see the biggest difference there is going to be the required fund balance. And what that is that's the balance that's needed for departments either operating, really it's mainly for capital outlay. It's because those funds carry over from year to year. You've also got the expenditure section, which has the operating budget expenditures and the capital budget expenditures. The operating budget is going up about 2.3%, 2.7 million, so a slight increase there. And then again, you're going to have some difference in the capital budget expenditures based on what the plan is for the next year, what we were able to accomplish this year and what is scheduled to be done next year. Real quickly on page 2, this is the operating budget revenues, not the capital, just the operating side. And if you start on the right side, the major source is sales tax at 59 million, and that's 45% of the operating budget revenues. The second biggest is property tax, almost 32 million, it's 24%. And then the third is miscellaneous. That's your interest, your license, your permits, your fines, your forfeitures. It's all of those together make up about 15%. So when you put everything together, that's the 131.5 million of operating budget revenues. And just to briefly touch on this, because I know everybody's always interested in sales tax, Dawn and I look at the numbers monthly. The sales tax authority meets monthly, and we have these discussions. And right now, the sales tax collections are up. I mean, obviously over last year. COVID was a tough year last year. So you're looking at a pretty healthy increase, but I think everybody is trying to look at this cautiously. What is going to happen next year? Is this going to continue? How much was related to the stimulus? How is IDA going to impact the revenues? You know, typically you may see a bump, but we're trying to be very conservative with the budget so that we make sure we don't overextend ourselves because of this bump up after the pandemic. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dawn for her to take the rest of the presentation.
Good evening. So on page 3, we're going to take a look at the operating budget expenditures, which the grand total is about approximately $121.5 million. You can see, if you look to the right of the graph, the largest expenditures are actually general government, which is pretty common. It's about 27% of the total expenditures, and that is for things like your legislative department, purchasing, IS, GIS, communications, finance, human resources, and other various just general government operations. The next second highest one, which is also common, is Public Works Drainage. This represents East Ascension Drainage as well as West Ascension Drainage. And then it goes on down the line. We have Health and Welfare, which is your health unit, your mental health, Planning and Zoning, and Building Fund. Then we have the Public Safety. These are all this graph is by function of the different expenses that Ascension Parish government has. So you have the public safety, which is all your 3 fire districts, the jail, OEP, and then it goes to debt service, road and bridge, which is another public works function, and then we have recreation, which comes in at about 4% of our total budget, and then in governmental, intergovernmental, which is a few grants that we have right now. Page 4 is a breakdown of the capital budget revenues plus the required fund balance plus your capital budget expenditures. You can see that the majority of the revenues comes from the required fund balance at approximately $46.5 million. This represents money that has been bonded out in the past, and so these funds are now available for us to continue to do these construction projects, and that's why it's taken from the fund balance. These expenditures are $72.4 million. The majority of it is Road and Bridge, which represents the road construction fund, along with Move Ascension projects. Then we have Public Works Drainage, which is East Ascension Drainage as well as West Ascension Drainage construction. And then we have some intergovernmental grant projects that we'll be doing, along with Public Safety, which is your jail and your fire departments have some construction. The next pages, 5 through 8, are something new that we're presenting to you. This is actually our capital improvement program. It is a 5-year program. These are the anticipated projects that we feel will happen, being budgeted for 2022 through 2026. It goes in order. It'll start with, if you look at your actual budget book, it'll go in line with the construction budget. So it starts with road construction, goes through with Move Ascension, and you can go on down the line. Obviously, if we don't yet have a project that has been told to us to put in here, it's not going to show up, but we can, of course, amend prior to adoption if there are ideas that come to light between now and November before it's adopted. If you turn to pages 9 and 10, this is what we look at. This is the overall budget summary for 2022. And what this shows you is, it's first your operating budget. So it starts with your general fund and it goes through your special revenue funds, your debt service funds, and your enterprise. But it shows you for each fund the revenues and transfers in, which is basically money you can use for any expenses. Then you have your transfers out and your expenditures. And then we come up with an operating surplus or deficit for each fund. And then we show where we anticipate to start the year with your beginning fund balance. So that beginning number plus either your operating surplus or deficit gives you the ending fund balance that we predict at the end of 2022. Now this, of course, is just a projection. It's just a plan. But this will give you an idea. If you look at funds that you're interested in, whatever committees you serve on, this will show you where we stand at the end of 2022. Then pages 11 through 14 are the actual budget ordinance. And you can read through that. This, I know you all have seen this in the past. This just reflects what you will be adopting. I know it's a lot of information right now, so obviously when you have questions, we are here to answer them.
Any questions? Councilman Lawler.
Just for everybody's edification on this, exempt versus non-exempt, do we actually, well, first of all, what is the definition that we're going by, and do we go by that definition?
I actually had this discussion with Megan, our HR director, recently, and I think right now the main difference is the classification level. When you get to a certain point, you're going to be exempt. You're not going to be paid overtime, and you're going to be salaried. So I think the major definition probably right now is once you get into those higher classifications, when you're supervising, when you're managing people, you're going to be expected to work those hours under a salary.
And are we doing that right now, or are we paying exempt employees overtime?
I think there are some cases where during disasters that happens. I know the administration has been monitoring it. We even did kind of a mini audit of the overtime after the disaster, just trying to make sure we are following our policies, our procedures. We're finishing that up right now just to make sure we're doing everything we're supposed to be. But it would be very rare outside of that somebody that is exempt would be getting paid overtime.
Okay. Also, I saw there was a director of infrastructure division. Who is that? It's on the.
Oh, Ken Dawson.
How's he doing?
He's doing well. In fact, we had a meeting at Lamar Dixon, and he somehow made it up the stairs to actually come in person to a meeting. So that was encouraging.
Good. I know one of the things I like is I'm looking at the budget overall, and I see a lot of big salary increases. I'd like to get an idea of just salary-wise where we are from 2021 to 2022. And an explanation of, I'm just, in the East Ascension drainage, non-exempt, we're going to go up 2.2 million in salaries, which seems like a lot of money for 1 year, and I'm not sure if there's a plan for that. There are a couple other things that kind of stick out. Well, we go up just dramatically, percentage-wise, from 1 year to the next. So I know we can have more discussions about this, but I think the public wants to see a lot of that kind of stuff. Other than that, we'll go through it and learn a lot more. Thank you.
And Patrick, I think you said we're preparing something for the next council meeting.
Yes,
presentation on the HR front, salaries,
we've
number of
been-
employees and that sort of stuff?
We've been talking a while about trying to present monthly a position report. And now through some great requests, we're gonna make that happen. We would have hoped to have had it today, but getting this kind of overwhelmed us a little bit. So starting tomorrow, and I know Megan has already started producing reports. She's been working with Ashley, trying to get some of these things done. So tomorrow, we're gonna try to put it in a format that we think would be helpful, that could carry forward from month to month. That would make sense, in addition to any other information that you might need for the overall budget. So hopefully, very soon you will see that report, and then, it'll talk about overtime, it'll talk about positions, and month to month you'll see the differences and the changes.
Any other questions, comments? Coach?
Overall increase that we'll have, Mr. Patrick, is the overall workers. Will there be an increase? Will there be a increase for the workers of the whole parish?
Yes. We set aside 4% in the budget. We don't know what the cost of living adjustment will be. We don't know what merits might be, but we do put aside for a potential increase for the staff.
So what's the, last year we had, what was the percentage of rate hike?
I want to say 1.8. We can check on that and get you the cost of living number.
So it'll be better this year, coming to 4 point.
Well, the four is how much we've budgeted, and again, that's just a plan.
Yeah.
At some point, the administration will present their proposal for the cost of living for this year.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else have any questions? I encourage all of you, and I'll do it myself, read through this if you have questions. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilwoman Cazzo.
Thank you. So I want to make sure that the public understands as they look through this, that some of these projected projects out to 2026 have not necessarily been approved by the governing authority. So the approval in the budget does not mean that we have approved the project. Am I right?
You're correct. This is a plan. This is the president's plan for the projects, the 5-year plan, and meeting with the department directors. This is also their plan and ideas. So yes, of course, there can be discussion, changes, yes.
I appreciate that. I just think that'll help folks to understand that there hasn't been any significant discussion of most of these 2024, 2025, 2026 ideas. And there certainly will be.
Correct.
And there will be an opportunity for public input before we move forward on any of those.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I just have one comment, Patrick. We've talked about this, and I know that with COVID and all the other restrictions we've had, we haven't been able to travel to conferences, haven't been able to go to even police jury conventions locally. And we talked about the policy, travel policy for the council. It's convoluted, it's complicated, and I'd ask you to, I'll give you the task of please propose something to us by the end of the year if you have time, if not by the first of next year, because we do have an opportunity, I think, to travel early next year to a couple of conferences, so I think it would be a good idea to have those things in place so there's less confusion and more, and fairness, of course.
Sure,
Okay.
sure. No, we'll definitely put some together. We'll have some meetings. You're right, it was a shame that we got delayed several times because of COVID and the restrictions, but we'll put something together for you.
Good, appreciate that. Any other questions? Last item, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Dempsey to adjourn. Second by Coach. Any objection? Meeting's adjourned. Thank you all.